Gone Troppo is another one of those record company obligation albums. By this time, George Harrison was really fed up with the whole record industry, and I don't think the interference on Somewhere in England helped matters much.
The music business sort of was going through a lot of changes, and I decided to become a gardener, actually.
Movies were George's main focus at this point. He had worked on Terry Gilliam's first non-Python film, Time Bandits, for which he wrote the song Dream Away, which would appear on this album. Over the decades, Gone Troppo has definitely been cited as George's worst album.
No you don't. You think I'm gonna let you continue with your 80s bashing? Well, you can think again.
Wait, aren't you? I swear you look like someone from a History of Rock show.
Oh no, you're thinking of that other guy? I'm other guy.
I hate you already.
Whatever. I'm here to challenge your conventional assessment of this album.
In recent years, this album has grown something of a following on the internet, with people saying it's not all that bad, and it's just gotten a bum rap over the years.
And if the Brooklyn hipsters say Gone Troppo is a good album, then it must be. I mean, they've never steered me wrong.
Have you actually listened to this album yourself?
Well, you know, there's only so many hours in the day. I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of anime to watch, and... Okay, no, I haven't, but, you know, that's why I'm here. We're gonna listen to the whole album together and make sure it's done right.
Fine. And you know, maybe I will be pleasantly surprised by this album. You never know. The first song is called Wake Up My Love. Let's give it a listen. Nope, it sucks. Bad fish. Goodbye.
Hey, come on. It's only the first track. I mean, okay, the synths and production may sound dated, but it's at least got some energy to it. You recommended Teardrops from the last album, and that was cheesy synth pop.
Yeah, but Teardrops is so overblown that it's actually kind of entertaining. This doesn't even go that far. It's just George saying, "Here's your hit single, I'm Gone Troppo." It really seems like the perfect title for this album, which could be interpreted as George just running off for a holiday in Hawaii, but it's actually Australian slang for gone crazy.
Hi, g'day, mate. Here Gone Troppo you have. Hey, let's listen to the next song. That's the Way It Goes.
So interesting enough, this is the only song I recognize, as Joe Brown did a cover of it in the concert for George.
That's the way it goes.
For me, it's a more enjoyable listen, with some nice slide guitar all over it, but on one of George's better albums, this would probably fall under filler category.
Yeah, it's kind of a boring song.
George just sounds disinterested, like he just kind of threw this together and put it on the album.
You see what I'm talking about?
Alright, well, why don't we try the next song? It's called I Really Love You.
I gotta warn you, this might be my most hated song on all these albums. It's so badly produced, the harmonies don't sound like they're in tune, and on all my subsequent listens, I had to skip it.
That's why I love you, that's why. Why?
No, I'm tapped out, I'm done.
No. You wanted to listen to this album in full, and that's what we're gonna do. Listen to every last track.
Oh no, come on, man, have mercy.
The song Grease starts off okay, sounding like it'll be a neat slide guitar instrumental, even if the backing track sounds like it was made on a Casio keyboard, but it gets real old real fast.
Yeah, and out of nowhere, George just starts singing randomly. I can't even figure out what he's saying.
You will find Grease.
I hear something about Turkey and you'll find Grease. I have no idea what that means.
Well, generally when you eat turkey, you tend to find some grease. The title track itself is pretty bad as well.
It's not as bad as some of the others, it's just very okay.
Nightlife, counting the fruit bat.
What's up with all the Jamaica-sounding lyrics?
It was the 80s, everyone was trying to sound like they were from Jamaica.
Yeah, true.
I almost feel like many of these songs were meant to be children's songs, maybe for a film like Time Bandits, although that film was a tad dark for Teletubby songs like these.
Actually, there's one song I think we can both agree on. It's a nice ballad called Unknown Delight.
And with all the love you bring, unknown delight.
Oh yeah, this song was actually written for George's son, Danny.
It's not making me wince, so it's got that going for it. It might not have the same lyrical weight to it that Beware of Darkness has, but it's definitely the best on the album so far. It's not overdone, and George actually sounds like he's enjoying himself.
And I know you mentioned Time Bandits before. Well, Dream Away actually played over the end credits.
Riding
yet Dream Away might be the most popular song from this album. I'll admit it has a pretty catchy chorus and definitely has the most energy.
Alright, you see? Now we're talking. Oh my god, I'm so bored with this.
The last song, Circles, is actually a holdover from the White Album sessions, and thank God they didn't use it. It's just as much a downer as any of the songs on Extra Texture. So it's pretty easy to see why Gone Troppo is often thought of as the worst George Harrison album. But what boggles my mind is why some people actually think it's good. I mean, this was your first time listening to it. What did you think?
Well, it's definitely a thing. A bland, boring, cacophonous thing.
I had no expectations whatsoever when I listened to it. It's just very disappointing. You keep thinking maybe the next track will be good, but it never is. It's like plain white bread. It's bland and it's tasteless.
Well, I had Todd Meredith listen to this album. Let's see if his thoughts differ from ours.
Oh, JT. What did you just have me listen to, man? I already have a bias against this album because it combines two genres of music that I've never enjoyed. That synth-heavy 80s production style combined with some trite, vapid calypso rock a la Jimmy Buffett. There's no essential track to speak of. Mystical One was a decent song. I also enjoyed Unknown Delight until I realized it's just a thinly veiled recreation of one of the best love songs ever written, Something. What are you doing, George? Come on, man. I know you're ticked off with your record company, but why would you do this to your fans? JT, I wouldn't even give this a bad fish. I'm making up a new category. I dub Gone Troppo a dookie fish.
Well, 3 out of 3 agree. What's odd is that in doing research for Gone Troppo, I couldn't find that much information about it. That's because George didn't bother doing any promotion for the album. He went on holiday and quit music for the next 5 years.
I like to live sort of quiet life, so therefore they think I'm this Howard Hughes with fingernails down to my toes.
Is Gone Troppo really the worst in George's catalog? Honestly, I'm gonna save that discussion for when I rank all the albums. But even if it is, I still can't say it's the worst album ever made. It might not even be the worst post-Beatles album, for me at least. It did have me humming along a couple of times, which is much more than I can say for a lot of other albums. And there are still some signature George elements to be found. That's probably why some people say it's not that bad. They go in with low expectations, and it's not the disaster they're expecting. Also, if you listen to the current state of Top 40 or even the Americana trend, it's pretty obvious that most people, or at least the record companies manufacturing all this, aren't interested in anything too cerebral or anything that challenges them musically. And with a lot of George's best stuff, you really need to slow down and take it in to appreciate it. Gone Troppo is not that kind of album. And it's super obvious that George had little to no passion going into it, and who can blame him? While the first draft of Somewhere in England wasn't great, it was his vision. As I said, the record we got was a compromised version to satisfy what the company thought the public wanted, and Gone Troppo is no different. To go from All Things Must Pass to this, especially with so many other roadblocks already in the way, it's just disheartening. It's a bad fish, no contest. I don't know if I even really have an essential track for this one.
I'd still say Unknown Delight was the one we agreed on the most.
I liked That's the Way It Goes the first time I heard it, although my taste for it has waned over time. I know some people swear by Dream Away, which at least has a catchy chorus, but that's all I can recommend from this album.
Oh, and don't forget Magical Beat.
Magical Beat isn't on this album.
Well, it should be.
Well, for those of you who do like Gone Troppo, make sure you leave a comment below and let us know why. But George would return 5 years later with Cloud 9, and I think a lot of you know that this album was much better received. I'll discuss it next time.
You mean we'll discuss that next time? You owe me after making me sit through that Gone Troppo garbage.
What are you talking about? You wanted to listen to it!
Oi, mate, you Gone Troppo, you have?